and welcome to SportScene, where our sport topics are hot, but our panelists are even hotter. I'm your host, Chance Dickman, and I will be your moderator through this Tuesday afternoon. But before we jump right in, let's meet our panelists. First off, we have Ronald, my favorite Raegen Trimmer, Chris, Jerry Stackhouse, and Callie, my favorite Frankfurter, is a hot dog, Callie Frank. So guys, that's a perfect transition into our first topic, which is opening day. Frankfurters, tailgating, baseball. Opening day was filled with tons of topics that we need to be discussed today. The Brewers, the Nationals, the Cubs got a win. Who would have thunk? Raegen, let's start with you.
I think opening day is the best day of the year. Makes me a little emotional every year. Summer's on its way. And winter is officially over, and what's a better way to cap off an opening day than an extra innings of free baseball win by the Brewers? Walk-off single by Jonathan Lucroy. Nothing could have done better.
Sack fly.
Sack fly.
Yep.
Same.
Chris?
I thought one thing you can take away from opening day in Washington is that although Steven Strasburg did pitch 7 scoreless innings, he recorded 17 consecutive outs at one point. He did only induce 2 swing and miss pitches. Even for him, that's a low average, as he was tossing 11 swing and miss pitches last year every single game.
I'm going to bounce off with you, sticking with Washington and the Nationals. Bryce Harper led the game off 2 solo home run back-to-back at-bats. So this is a team that is a big threat. They got 2 young guys that are leading the way, and I think they're going to be someone to reckon with. Going back to the Brewers, it was a little slow game. Giovanni had an all right day, but I was expecting a little better for our starting pitcher that is going to be the ace of our team and is expected to hold that bullpen together. Top of the order looked pretty good. The bats were swinging well, but we'll see what the Brewers if they can keep warming up. They got their first win. So
bounce off this. The Houston Astros just joined the AL West this year, beat the Texas Rangers. Raegen, what do you take from that?
That's an incredible win with one of the lowest salaries of the entire Major League Baseball. I mean, A-Rod alone is making more than their entire squad. So to pick up a win against a star-studded lineup like the Texans the Rangers.
Yep.
Is awesome.
Chris, do you agree?
I have to admit it's a really impressive win for the Houston Astros, and I'm just wondering if it's too late to jump on the Houston Astros bandwagon.
Well, it's only one game into the season, so nothing is ever too late.
After their season last year, it's a big confidence booster, especially heading into the AL, where the competition can be a little tough.
Yes. So this weekend, of course, opening day baseball Sunday night, where Houston upset, as of now, the Texas Rangers. But the bigger story came from March Madness because, March Madness takes over March, and that is in college basketball, where we now are down to our Final Four: Wichita State, Louisville, Michigan, and Syracuse. Chris, who do you like going into Atlanta?
When we're going to talk about the Final Four, Chance, I only want to talk about 25% of the teams. That's one team, the Louisville Cardinals. And there's only one name you need to know, Russ Smith. Russ Smith dropped 23 points on Sunday, 10 in transition, and he had 14 points in the paint against Duke, against Mason Plumlee and Ryan Kelly down low. The kid can ball. Russ Smith in the tournament so far has 41 transition points. That's ranking first. 46 points in the paint. That's second. 40 free throw attempts, also first. Louisville, turnover machine. They can turn you over left and right. They're going to turn over that Wichita State squad. They're going to go in the finals, match up with Syracuse, and they already know how to beat the defense. They did it in the second half of the Big East Championship, and they will do it again. Count on Louisville.
Do you like Louisville too as well, Callie?
I do like Louisville, but I'm just in general, the Final Four is not really what I was expecting this year, but it's going to be some good basketball. I'm going to take a look at Michigan. They haven't made the trip to the Final Four since back 92, 93 in the Fab 5 days. And so they got some 3 freshman starters who are killer on offense and who are going to pave their way to a championship.
Raegen.
I agree with you. Michigan has a great lineup, but the zone defense of Syracuse is hard to penetrate. So you're going to have to look to Trey Burke taking the jumpers and the outside threes to get a win here. And I'm still saying don't sleep on Wichita. They had big wins against Gonzaga and Ohio State. Like you said, people thought they were going to come out and just whomp them, and look who made it to Atlanta.
True, and Michigan shot out of their mind, against Kansas. down over 10 with not so many minutes left in the game and went on a tear. What kills a zone is if you can make your three-point shots. If Michigan can keep that up, maybe they will upset them. How about Wichita State? Yes, the West definitely could be considered the fluff regional of this bracket. Of course, Gonzaga being the overall number one. A lot of speculation there. Wichita State coming out of the West, though. Very impressive. What do you take away from that, Callie?
I'm going to say this is going to be the game to watch, Wichita versus Louisville. This is Wichita. They got that anger fighting for them. They're not expected to win. No one's really coming to say, yeah, they're the team to beat. And then you got Louisville, who's riding on just pure emotion right now. So this is going to be a hard-fought battle. And, I think it's going to be an interesting game. I'm not expecting a blowout at all for this game.
Wow. That's very strong argument. Everybody's right for their own opinion. Wichita State could definitely be that team. They could carry themselves into the finals. We move along to not men's college basketball, but women's college basketball, because this is probably the upset of both tournaments, and that is the Baylor Lady Golden Bears losing to Louisville, a team who is in the Final Four for the men's, by 1 point. They got knocked out of their tournament. Baylor Bears lost one time this year. Nobody thought they'd get beat again with Brittany Griner at the helm. Chris, Baylor lost. What do you take away from that?
One reason Baylor lost, Chance, and that's Brittany Griner touched the ball only on 22% of Baylor's possessions. Throughout the year, when the Baylor Bears are winning, it's when Brittany Griner is touching the ball 46% of the time. She only touched the ball 22%, and Louisville stroked it from outside. And that's what happened. You go down.
Yeah, I agree. I give all the credit to the Louisville coaching staff. They literally set up a zone defense around Brittany Griner. They had somebody in front of her and behind her, kept her scoreless the whole first half. She's pretty much the core of that team, clearly, and they just weren't able to hit the outside shots. And on the other side, Louisville was nailing the threes. I think they set a record for how many threes they had behind the arc, but big credit to the Louisville coaching staff for setting up that zone defense to just take her completely out of the game.
That's about the only way you're going to beat that team. You can take away Griner and hit your threes.
Yep.
Raegen?
Yeah, I still give credit to Baylor, though. You get 16 threes dropped against you, and you still manage to battle back and,
True.
and to make it to come up by one with 9 seconds left. Louisville just had too much for Baylor to handle in this game. It was a tough, aggressive fight, and many people are coming out saying maybe it was a little too physical for the style of women's basketball.
There were some plays that I saw that could have went either way.
Robert Griffin III stepping on defense
Yes.
Brittany Griner.
He was. Well, good for him. You show your school alliance. I like that. Miami, Florida in general in March had in humongous I can't even talk today. March. Florida Gulf Coast upsets of the brackets, in March Madness and the tournament, along with Florida. The Miami Heat had their record snapped, their streak snapped. So, what do you take away from this long streak that, just got beat by the Miami Bulls last week? Raegen?
The Chicago Bulls came out and played a great game with Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah both on the bench. Miami went through a tough stretch against Boston and the Spurs, and I don't think a lot of people put the Bulls to beat them, but they did. So that was a big loss for LeBron and the rest of his crew, but I still think they're the greatest team in the league. There's too much talent and skill to say that they're not.
True. Chris?
I'm buying into the Heat big time when they got